I wanted to introduce you guys to two of my best summertime friends. These are my two BFFs. They do everything, but it's learning how to use stuff is one thing. This is a blown out CV axle off of a Nightmare. This turns into a nightmare if you don't know what you're doing. And unfortunately, even I was going about it slightly blind because that bracket makes a real mess trying to get it up around that exhaust. So my best BFF, my best friend, okay, speaking of best friends, I'll got a comment in a minute. This is what did that, okay? I took my cat, my vet did not show up this morning, and I sat in the truck for almost an hour, and until I drove home it was an hour and a half. I had to pee so bad, I flung the door open, and well, nature took its course, and the cat bailed. So I have not seen the cat since. He's friendly, kind of like a woman. When he gets hungry, he's probably going to come back tonight or tomorrow morning. It's like a woman. When they need money or they get horny, they always come back, type of thing. Anyway, this is what we ended up with. And I'm probably going to have to get the big smoke wrench out. And this is what I wanted to show you is this front bolt is going to hang in here. So don't panic, okay? Cut your axle apart and you'll get that bracket up around that exhaust, no problem. Now, my comment, that's Chucky. That's our shop gremlin. Anything that goes boom, bang in the night, or meow, hiss, it's usually him. He's got the attitude of about a third grader, and when he wants to throw a fit, man, he can do it. So anyway, I wanted to show you that learning how to use tools like this, Fat Max, this thing, if you got this for sheet metal, it's junk. You have no radius, okay? This is a stronger set for a little bit of thicker metal, but you're not going to curve and you're not going to cut actual steel. Now this thing, we have where I get a lot of these discs, and I'm going to explain that in a minute, okay? I picked this up at a wholesale place. We have a wholesale place here, and when you're a poor person or you're retired, you're like me, you're living on a fixed income, and everybody wants to pay you nickels and dimes for a job. Well, I go up there, I get some pretty decent stuff up there. So it's like these discs, okay? This takes burrs. Let me get that again. See how you have a burr in the metal? Learning how to use those tools, it's a learning experience all itself, and you're just going to have to take your time and be careful. But you got to have two big, strong arms. And I don't know if I have a heart and lung condition right now that's sapping my strength a little bit. But learning how to control this tool, especially with the guard off, not twisting the blade that it turns into flying shrapnel. If you have a summer day, you buy this setup. Now I buy these blades. I'm going to put this in the camera, and I don't know what you can see. We got a really hard sun angle today. These are like it. These are, I think, 3/32 or 4/32. Is that what that says? 4/32? That don't make sense. But these are a little less than 1/8 of an inch. You can see the thickness. They're not very thick, okay? Because they do make thicker ones, and that does that's hard on the bearing because they don't exactly bore through steel like I just cut through this tensile strength steel. Okay, this is still a semi-mild steel. It's not a true hardened steel, and that's why it's as thick as it is. If it was a true hardened steel, they could make this axle probably just a little bit bigger and it would still do its job, or a little bit smaller rather. So it powered right through that. So you can buy this stuff individually in the store. So if you don't have a lot of money, you can buy just one in a lot of the stores, or you can buy a whole box, and I prefer to go the inner screen. You get a much better deal on the inner screen and less asking people, well, where's this? Like I said, it's atrocious here. You can't call a store. That's what I wanted to explain about calling a store. Where is it? Here's your puller number. This is the AutoZone. AutoZone has it. Advanced Auto Parts does not. That's your part number. Yeah, 5708. That's that that claw foot, and I paid a whopping $21 for it. Don't forget what gas is. I spent another $20 in gas, and then this is how it mounts. You need this nut and tighten it down so this doesn't wobble all over the place. You put it in your bench vise like I have that, where I'm getting ready to pull it. I got to get the big smoke wrench out, so I don't know if I'm going to do it. I wanted to get this video in and tell people you can turn this job into, it's still a nightmare, but it's not as bad if you know how to go about it. And whatever you do, you don't have to take that wheel sensor out, because I may end up having to, well, he may end up having to buy a hub for his car. Some of our jointly owned stuff, we share the cost, but this is his car. My son is building credit, so we got him a loan, my mom and I. Actually, my mom. Let's put it that way. She went to the bank and she signed full bore with him as a co-signer, and we opened him an account. He lives with his girlfriend when he's not living here. Okay, and I wanted to show you something. Anyway, but that was with the story to this car, and then you got to hear the story how this car dealer ripped this off. It was a different expired inspection on this car, and I'm sorry I spit. I just swallowed another bug. But these tires, you'll see that in the video. They had it's a Pennsylvania state inspection, and I'm going to do an entire video on how the smoke and mirrors. They have another set of stickers when they get these cars already written up. It's a perk for you to buy them. Oh, it'll have a fresh inspection, or it'll have a current inspection when you buy it. Well, bullshit. Then you buy a pack of problems where they switch the wheels and the tires out like they did on this thing, and then they put a different size spare tire in the trunk, and then you find mystery boxes hanging from the mirror. There's a whole video on this coming up, and I wanted to show you something. This is a battery mount. I built this basically out of junk. I am a junk connoisseur. I go to the scrapyard. I get stuff for $4 and $5 because that's about all I can afford. But that's what this was. You see, when you want to go camping, this is my son and I, we built this thing. This is a fun little truck. She's got some steering issue I got to get to, but when we go when we go camping, that's it. Whatever. Every video I'm coughing, I swallowed a bug. Yuck. So that battery mount's going to go on we're going to make a little table there. I always make a table. When you're in these trucks, and if you go camping, like I said, we have a spot that we go up to that we like, and there's a lot of exploring to do because there's a lot of abandoned old homes up there from the 1800s and 1700s. So I just wanted to cover this nightmare. And you do not have to disconnect this wheel sensor, because we may end up buying a hub. If you can see how rusted this damn thing is, I'm actually going to clean this all up in case that wheel sensor. All you have to do is take that panel off, and probably on the other side there's a plug just like that one. Don't unbolt them there, especially if you live here in the Rust Belt. Okay, because I love these dudes. It's a 10, 12-year-old car, and they just take it apart, and that's part of living in those sunny areas where they don't put that garbage on the road that ruins your car. In 4 or 5 years you need a new one. And that's basically, that's a nice car. It's far from rusted out. They did some things wrong, and then they, like I said, they committed fraud, basically, is what they did. And then you'll see a little clip of the state troopers in another video. I showed the state police. So Pennsylvania State Inspection, these garages are getting greedy. As our economy implodes, there's going to be problems. Let me get my cup. Hold on. Just so Bill Gates knows, bugs will never be my freaking dietary supplement, you freaking clown, you. Anyway, it's beer 30, and I wanted to make this video before it got dark. and I still might get that smoke wrench out, but I want to get most of my tools in. And when you're going to do that job, you're going to work your ass off. Don't discount it, but it can be done. And in this economy, when money is tight and you can't pay bills, so's it is, a lot of people are behind already. Mortgages. This asshole was making a mess out of this country, and I don't know what the peasants like us are going to do. I'm behind myself. Like I said, it's the first time I'm behind really on anything. I usually catch up, get ahead, because I'm a hard worker. Well, now you got to go to a liberal mating institution, and you got to be a different ethnic origins just to get a job around here. And like I said, it's not the same in all areas. And I wanted to pipe up to like Big Mouth LSX 454. He comments on my channel. The guy's comical. He's really an idiot. I mean, an egghead. I mean, if it wasn't for guys like him, I never would have made a dime on the racetracks, especially the short tracks. But I always had those guys, they thought they were a freaking engine builder. I'm an engine builder. And you don't want to go up against me on the speedway. I'm not the guy. And like I said, I got the trophies. I had a special room on my house. My mom, when I moved out when I was a kid, I had trophies. By the time I was married and I had my house, I had to build an entire separate room onto the house. But you know what? I wished I would have saved all that money over the years, especially when I had kids and all that. But to get back to reality, I'm sweaty, I'm dirty, I want to clean up, and like I said, there's a couple of guys that have reached out to me. I'm going to do a thing on shoulder bolts and hardware shortly. The winter's coming up, and I'm going to get bored for things to do. I was trying to go back to my one winter job, and the place is closing up. I mean, I don't really know what to do. I really don't. But what I do want to tell you folks is pay attention, you can learn something. And especially about your next best friend. Because you may not know that you're about to meet your next best friend. But if you learn how to master this tool, and believe me, you got to keep your pitties and tootsies away from those tools, because they can make they bite. I mean, they bite, they cut, and they cut skin. I've got scars all over from my hands from them things, not to mention shrapnel that went through me. I have a grand day sometimes though. When you have something that went right, I got that bracket out of there and I felt good about my day. Even though I worked just about 6 hours yesterday on this thing and 5 hours today, just running around getting what I needed. But hopefully, I got to buy myself a real Morgan hammer. By the way, this is called a Morgan hammer, if anybody knows. I had worked at a body shop, and he says, go get a Morgan hammer. And he thought I didn't know what a Morgan hammer was. The place was a shit house. I couldn't find anything in there. I thought my shop was bad. My shop was nothing. His place was like Tularosa. It was like it blew up. And I got to go find this Morgan hammer. And his next in charge, well, I don't even know where it is. Well, if you don't know where it is, he don't know where it is, how am I going to know where it is? Oh, you got to find it. Is that what I get paid for, walking around your shop trying to find your freaking tools? But anyway, I got to get rid of this play school. They can ship this back to Romper Room and the kids can play with this thing. So, some things, I'm not a rich guy. I got to make do at times, but that little Morgan hammer, that's a seal puller. And that's all you need to yank seals out. You don't need a gargantuan heavy, especially when you're trying to maneuver that tool into an axle and get that seal out. So that's the other thing. I went over and asked for this puller at Advanced Auto Parts, and they gave me an axle seal puller. It said CV axle puller. Well, every tool in the box was for pulling seals. All right, enough. That is the video, okay? So it's not eligible for shorts. I explained a lot of things that you might meet your next best friend over at Home Depot or Lowe's, and believe me, they're consumer grade tools. But you know what? The stuff on the internet ain't much better. You know what I mean? Don't spend an extra $100. 9 chances out of 10, you can find it cheaper on the internet than you can at Lowe's or Depot. They always tack on for a more a brick and mortar store. They tack on their fees. So. All right, I want to go get rid of my swallowing the bug complex. My back of my throat tickles, and y'all have a good evening, and God bless. Kiss your family tonight. We don't know if we're going to have it tomorrow in this country. They got to get rid of this son of a bitch. If it was up to me, I'd drag Biden out of the White House. I'd drag him out by his balls, and I'd thump him every minute I'm doing it. I swear to God, I'm that disgusted. Thank you.